Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of For Honor Hero School. My name is Klyka, as always, and today we are going to be looking at a class that a lot of people love and many people hate, which is the Orochi of the Samurai faction. Now, I am a complete noob at the Orochi, so I have gotten myself a very experienced Orochi player, the wonderful and enigmatic Hero. Welcome, Hero.
Hey, thank you for the introduction. Glad to be here. Uh, Definitely played the class a lot. This is my third test, playing as solely the Orochi. Yeah, just been playing the class, enjoying it a lot, and played against a lot of good players. So hopefully I can give you some good advice.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. You've been streaming a lot, and we've seen your names all over multiple forums when it comes to seeing good Orochi play. So I'm looking forward to you giving us an overview of the pros and cons of the Orochi. So I guess let's jump right in.
Sure, let's jump right in.
All right, so let's start with the basics, or the bread and butter, as it's usually called, of the Orochi hero. So, if you're facing uh, another hero who does not have a
hmm
shield, because obviously playing against shield heroes, takes a bit of a different approach. What are your main combos? What are your main attacks that you would be using?
So for the Orochi likes to do a lot of fast attacks, right? But most of them, obviously, the one that everyone knows is a Storm Rush.
Right.
So for example, when you just go back and then go into a Storm Rush, you can change the different directions of where you want to actually do it from. That's one of the things that makes Storm Rush super effective because you can keep on doing it and you can cancel it as well.
All right.
So against a lot of classes, Storm Rush is extremely fast, right? So try to block this. It's going to be on your right, my left. You can see that it comes out
Yeah.
extremely fast and it hits extremely fast, and because you can change the different directions that you can do with Storm Rush, it confuses a lot of players. It counts as a heavy attack and it also puts the guy into a stagger. So if you just get hit by Storm Rush, for example,
Yeah.
I'll show you the most popular combo that you can see from the Orochi,
All right.
which is just the top light combo that comes out of it, right? Like
Okay.
that is look at the amount of damage that it does on an assassin class. It's literally you have two Storm Rush combos and you're dead, essentially, right? So that's one of the most bread and butter Orochi 101 kind of attacks that he can do,
And
right? So
and
the top light thing right here, it doesn't do anything until you actually get hit. So
okay.
let your guard loose,
Yeah, I
and
am.
then so that is the bread and butter, right? You just guard it upwards, and you attack twice in rapid succession using top guard, and then you do this 2-hit combo that does good damage. But you have to connect with the class. Yep, just like that. The third attack is obviously you could do that, but it's normally not. You normally don't want to do it because if you put it under the three attacks in a row, the third one is extremely telegraphed and it can be blocked pretty
Mm.
easily. Whereas the first attack, the two double lights, will hit automatically, and it does a lot of damage.
So when I
So,
do the Storm Rush into the double top combo, is
yep.
the top combo that follows the Storm Rush, is it actually blockable?
So certain classes, and this is just what I've noticed, certain classes can actually block it depending on how they get hit by the Storm Rush and depending on what kind of class they are. Like Conquerors, they can get hit, but oftentimes I've noticed that Kenseis and Warlords sometimes don't get hit by it. They can block, and I think that's because the attack, the Storm Rush itself, it staggers, but they're able to recover on block in time. So there's only some classes that I've noticed that can do that, but I'm also not really quite sure when that actually happens.
Okay, so we've seen the introduction to the Storm Rush and top combo moves. So, Hero, what are some things that I can do with the Storm Rush? Like, are there mix-ups? Can I actually do some more advanced things with it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So with the Rochi's primary game is to kind of confuse the opponent and mix them up as much as possible. And the only way he can do that is to incorporate a lot of different dash techniques and also Storm Rush, canceling and feinting. So let me just give you a couple of examples. So the Rochi as a class, he has a pretty good dash, right? It doesn't cover as much room as say like the Berserker or the Peacekeeper, but he has a very flexible dash, which allows him to do a lot of different things with. So, an example is Orochi can just dash forward and he can grab if he wants to, right? So he can also dash forward and then you can just pause for a little bit, and then do the double light combo. So don't block for a sec. So I'm gonna, and then just do that, right? He can also do other stuff like dash in, dash in, don't do anything else, but dash back out, and then go into a Storm Rush. So let me just show you in combination how like basic Orochi movement looks like in top level play. So they would dash around the board, but at the same time they would come back, hold Storm Rush, come back, and instantly cancel it, switching up different sides at the same time. But not only that, Storm Rush can be canceled in multiple different ways. So for example, they can go back, can take one step forward, right? Or I can take 2 steps forward. But if he takes any more steps than that, then it's a committed attack and he must go for it. So which is why a lot of Orochis can bait out different attacks by just moving forward a little bit, and not basically doing anything that that causes the player to do something kind of like irregular. Yep. Go back, dash forward, go back, dash forward.
So it's 2 steps that commit you to the Storm Rush.
Yep, any more than 2 steps and you're committed. So.
Okay, and if I just press the feint while I'm holding it, he will just feint it without moving beforehand. All right.
Storm Rush can actually do like 5 things, right? So check this out. So the movement is you can pull it back, and then instantly cancel. Right?
All right, okay.
Or you can pull it back and hold it, right? Or you can pull back, instantly like cancel it, but at the same time hold it, and then cancel it. So hold it and then cancel it, right? And then that's 3 so far. Or he can go back, take 1 step, or go back, take 2. Sorry, my bad. You can come back and take 2 steps. So there's 5 different ways that Storm Rush is normally utilized, and when they're utilized correctly, it's really confusing for the opponent.
Okay, so that was all about the movement of the Storm Rush and how to use it and feint it. But if I get attacked by the Storm Rush, a lot of people have problems with that. So how would you be countering the Storm Rush?
Well, the first thing you have to do is just look at the character when he's actually doing Storm Rush. So, for example, if he's going left or he's going right, you can actually see him hold the sword in that direction. So whatever side that he's holding the sword is the direction you should move your guard to. That is the first indicator that Storm Rush is going to be in that direction. So, which means for outside of assassin classes, if you're playing like any other class that can just hold their guard in that direction, it's a good habit for you to just do that. So just put the guard to that side, because no matter what, that means you can guarantee block on that side if he does let the Storm Rush through. Another thing is Storm Rush is also pretty telegraphed when it's flying, right? When he's like flying at you using the Naruto like speed thing, you can basically just time it so you can parry it as well, because it's always going to hit at the same speed. And once you get sufficient enough at blocking it, you can also parry it, which can lead to just huge openings to do damage to the Orochi. So, for example, let's try a few blocks.
Okay.
So, ready?
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna move back now. Oh, gotta hit you first, huh? All right.
Yeah, so I can always see where the attack indicator is coming from, so it's actually pretty damn telegraphed.
That's actually one of the things they changed in the latest patch, was to make it even more visible to players getting hit by them.
Oh, okay.
So, did you get the timing down a little bit for how, when the Storm Rush actually hits you?
I hope so.
Okay, so now you can try to parry it. Okay, ready?
Oh, okay, sorry, we're a bit too far away there.
Now we're a little bit closer. Ready?
Okay.
Yeah. So Storm Rush already takes good stamina for you to do so.
Oh, I see that. Yeah, you're out of stamina very quickly.
And getting parried is going to be...
Yeah.
Like, look at that. That's off of 1 parry. So check it out again. So I'm at full right now, right?
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's a
lot. So which means that if the Orochi is constantly doing something, like feinting and doing all kinds of other stuff, then he's going to be running dry really, really badly. and which means that if he's floating around like 25% stamina while he's doing it, it's just going to send him directly into no energy.
Hmm. So he really has to look out for the Storm Rush when he's using it, because if he does get parried, he's probably gonna fall on the ground.
Yep, it's really bad. If he gets parried, um, yeah, if he gets parried, then you're just completely wide open to a multitude of attacks, and he doesn't have a lot of health to begin with, so you can definitely parry him every time.
So you've shown us basically the biggest special move in the Orochi's arsenal, but what exactly is the Orochi fighting style like? You were talking about mix-ups a lot. Now, could
Yeah.
you first please like explain to us what exactly you mean when you say a mix-up, and then maybe present it to us what you're doing?
Uh, Mix up is basically just a lot of mind games with using the class and a lot of his movement shenanigans. So, like I said before, like Orochi's primary fighting style is just like a lot of different types of movement, right? I mean, he's a counterattacker, sure, but you're still kind of like doing things that confuses your opponent with a lot of your movement. You're basically trying to bait him to attack you. So when you attack him, you can either hit him with a really hard hitting attack like the Storm Rush, and once Storm Rush hits you, you can almost guarantee top light. So the entire point is to just do a lot of things to bait your opponent into attacking. So here, let me show you some mix-ups that I like to do.
All right.
So some basic mix-ups is you can use different dashes, right? Like a dash into someone is a guaranteed top heavy, right? So that's one of the things that you can do. But another thing that you can do is dash. You can grab them. You can go for the top heavy, and you can go for a second top heavy if the person's being aggressive. Or you can dash, grab, go into the top heavy, and then go directly into a second top heavy, but you cancel it instead. And then from there, you can reset and do something else. So other things that you can do is go in, you can do some top light combos, and then immediately go into a zone attack, for example, right? Some more dash cancels when coming in is you're looking for an opening. So sometimes you just go in there, dash, and you look at them, and you wait for them to do something. And if it's too slow, you just like throw an attack out, like, and just back away, right? You're just waiting for them to do something the entire time. So you can just dash into them, and what I like to call is it's an empty dash. So you just dash and you wait for an opponent to do something. And some of the times when they get really antsy, they press buttons, and when they press buttons, you can really go ahead and take advantage of that. So you go in on them. You can throw out light attacks too, because if Klyka, for example, when I dash in on him and he tries to guard break me, if I'm attacking, well, not on the dash.
Yeah,
That's
sorry.
one of the things about the Orochi too. So he like comes in on you, and then while he is trying to like guard break you, if you are properly spaced, you can actually throw out light attacks to interrupt guard breaks. So if he's going to try to guard break you, and you just throw out light attacks, you can actually stop his guard breaks by just doing damage to him, right? So that's almost in a way that Orochi's guard breaks his light attacks are so fast, they can interrupt other people's guard breaks and they take massive damage from it. So another thing that Orochis want to do at all times is they want to be able to come in and follow up with Storm Rush, like doing the top lights, right? But after that, what do you do? Because you're already using like half of your stam to do that. So what I normally like to do afterwards is once you find purchase with the blade, you can go for a throw, and then once you go into the throw, you can basically do any of the three things that I said before. So again, you hit him with a throw, and then you can just land a heavy, right? And that leads to massive damage if the person is not ready for that tech. So other mix-up with Orochi is that, like, remember, you're using your movement at all times. But if you're playing in, like, the danger zone of the opponent, which is, like, this area right here, you can actually do this thing. So he takes 2 steps forward, and if you look, Orochi's Storm Rush is actually, like, 2 steps back. So if he takes 2 steps forward and then takes 2 steps back, and then you cancel it with Storm Rush moving 2 steps forward, you can actually end up in almost the same exact place that you were before.
Huh.
Which then so then the mix-up game can get crazy, right? Because then when you enter this kind of this zone, you can either let it go for a Storm Rush, or you can let it go, and like do a million different other things, like a throw afterwards. The idea is to play within that danger zone with the Orochi. So um, when you do start your mix-up game, he doesn't know whether or not you're actually going to let the Storm Rush go, or whether or not you're going to just come in and do a throw instead. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean, yeah. So can you
Okay.
actually, after the Storm Rush, after you finish and cancel it, you can immediately throw out a guard break in front of someone if you like time the distance right.
Yeah, but they have to be moving towards you. So like if you come back with the Storm Rush and you're actually like 3 steps, and you only move forward 2 steps before you're fully committed, right? So like right here is when you stop it. But however, if your opponent is being aggressive and is moving towards you, so move towards me just a little bit, you come right in perfect range of the Orochi to
Oh,
do all kinds of other stuff,
that's pretty
right? So
sweet.
like for example, right? Come towards me again. You see how like you can come in towards Orochi, but then you're also in his danger zone because he can immediately cancel Storm Rush, and he can hit you with top lights if he wants to. He can guard break you if he wants to. He can zone attack you if you want to. So you can do all kinds of different mix-up as you go. Like zone attack is a fast, powerful attack as well. So yeah, it's all about like being able to
To cancel and mix it up and so on. So
cancel, dash forward as well.
I see you using the top light attack almost exclusively. Is it that much
Yes.
faster than the side light attacks?
Yes, the side attacks for Orochi are actually painfully slow. Like for example, just try to like use them. Yeah, go ahead and use them. You can see how like slow they are, right? They're
Yeah.
not that. Yeah. So like when you're throwing out lights, definitely don't like them as much as like the top ones.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
the top one is also guaranteed damage. It's guaranteed 2 damage, whereas these ones are extremely telegraphed, and if blocked, it's not that great. But you can also use like once in a while you can throw out like Zephyr slashes, right? The thing about Zephyr slashes is that they're good, but they're also telegraphed. They're extremely telegraphed because the Orochi spins around a lot. Like look at this shit. Like you're spinning around all over the place. Especially the top one. Like Zephyr, like I think it's called Lightning Strike now. But basically, you know it's coming because he takes a while for the strike to land, and the entire time he's doing this spinning maneuver that you can easily telegraph in. So you should only use it when you're like faking people out or doing something crazy, or he's further away and you're trying to chase him with an attack, because it actually has pretty good range, right? You can actually threaten someone from further away with this because you can catch people on the sidestep as well. So it's definitely more useful against like assassin classes because of the range and the amount of pressure that it shoots out. But once again, if someone's playing like super defensive, you don't want to throw it out because it's just gonna get parried. For example, why don't you go ahead and throw out some like Zephyr slashes on me?
The Zephyr
Like,
Slash, give me a sec. I will just quickly show that in the move set.
okay, so the Zephyr slash is these things that he's doing.
The Lightning Strike is the forward A and RB. I see. So
Yeah.
these are the
So the
Zephyr
lightning strike.
Slashes, yeah. They
Yep.
always come out on the side that you dodge to, as far as I saw.
Right.
Okay, and
So
then you...
those are good. So those are good when you want to use those against let's say you want to use them against I'm actually not blocking or doing anything. I'm just explaining. When you're trying to use someone that's trying to like run away from you, right? If someone is like backdashing constantly, you can catch them with the lightning strike. Or if someone's trying to shoulder bash you, then you can actually catch them with the Zephyr. If you time it correctly, you can catch them with the Zephyr. But that's like the only time that you would use it. However, that is very unsafe on like classes like the Conqueror, but against people that are more against headbutts and against the shoulder charge, Zephyr Slash is actually pretty useful. You just gotta be careful not to use it a lot, especially against classes that can cancel those, because once they cancel it, they can just parry you. Because like I said, it's extremely telegraphed. Right.
All
So
right.
go ahead and throw some. Go ahead and throw out some of the Zephyrs, for example.
Oh, sorry, that was the lightning one. Here's a Zephyr.
I mean, seems like they're really easy to block because, like I said, they're very very telegraphed. Which just oh jeez, and then it just yeah. So like the more you just throw those out, they just become like almost like a death sentence for the Orochi.
Can you be guard broken while you're doing the Zephyr Slash? Because you can be guard broken while you're doing a normal dash, right? I mean, if I'm just
Yeah.
dashing
So
like
like
this and you guard break me, like
right.
you can do that. So, but does it work with the Zephyr Slash, or am I immune against guard
Uh,
break?
you're actually immune to guard break. So like, watch. I'm
Ah, I
trying to
see.
grab you, right? Yeah. So I can grab you normally. Go ahead and sidestep normally.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I
But
can't.
if
Can I tech out of that one when you grab me?
no, the thing about Orochi is Orochi likes to move a lot, right? But the thing is, like, if you move and you're at like the wrong timing, a lot of classes can just grab you out of the, and then you can't take out of it.
Hmm.
So
Unless you throw the
it feels
Zephyr.
bad. Unless you're throwing a Zephyr. Yeah, if you're throwing a Zephyr, you can get out of it. You see it?
Yeah, I can't grab you. Yeah. All right.
But again, yeah, but again, you shouldn't be taking it out a lot. So another thing that Orochi likes to do, so his feints, if you look at his feints are extremely quickly. I mean, extremely quick. It's not like a Warden's, right, where he's almost like halfway down the sword's
Yeah.
almost like next to your head before you can actually feint it. He actually feints really quick, which is a good thing and bad thing. It's a good thing, and because Orochi has some of the fastest and most damaging heavies in the game. So, for example, one of the things I like to do with Orochi, just stand there for a second, is like you can feint either right or feint left, right, and then just go immediately into top. And basically, what that does is it confuses the block from your opponent to either go left, right, or top, depending on what you're trying to do. And then by the time they adjust their guard, you're already throwing out light attacks, right? That's the top two guaranteed combos because it's also the fastest. So another thing I like to do is like you throw it out, then you drop another one down, right? And what happens here is that here, go ahead and try that again. Yeah. Do you see how fast the top heavy comes down?
Yeah.
Orochi actually has one of the fastest top heavies in the game, and it's also one of them. And it's also one of the most damaging, right? So you can throw it out. It'll just confuse someone's top guard. But if they try to parry it at the same time, right? Let's say he's going for a parry, right? And then let's say, I don't know, wait until his stamina recharges. So go ahead and try to go for a parry. Right. So like on other classes, baiting the top guard is super important because Orochi has one of the fastest top heavies. So if someone is throwing out a super slow top attack like the Warden, this fake out will actually hit you before the Warden can actually get the attack down.
Right, but of course it doesn't work against another Orochi right now because of the speed
Yeah,
of the top attack. So,
exactly.
so seeing how you just explained how the top light attacks are super fast and the top heavy is
Mhm.
very fast. So, I
Yeah.
mean, that basically leads to saying that the Orochi is very focused on top attacks in his play.
Yep, the Orochi is actually one of the most outside of Storm Rush, right? Which is Storm Rush is either left or right every single time.
Right.
You can pretty much just you can pretty much have a good idea of exactly when Storm Rush is going to come and which direction you can block. But other than that, his best attacks are all vertical. If you notice that everything I'm throwing at you is coming completely from the frontal side. Storm Rush is coming at you from the front. The top lines are coming from the front, and then the top heavy is coming from the front. Like, everything is from the front.
Right.
If I try to throw out like random side heavies, one, they're slow. Two, you can read them from like a mile away. And then if I'm throwing out like side heavies, that's also very slow. So Orochi is a very vertical based class. A lot of his fighting takes place like directly in front of the opponent, which is what makes like classes like Nobushi kind of frustrating to fight against because a lot of their attacks also come from directly in the front.
Okay, so we've talked about lots of things now with the Orochi, but we didn't talk about one of the main assassin class, well, mechanics, which is the deflection mechanic, which works by you dodging into an enemy attack at the time you would normally parry. So what are your thoughts on the deflection mechanic? How strong is it? How weak is it? And how do you incorporate it into your Orochi play?
So, in my opinion, deflection is in the advanced guide that I wrote on the forums. One of the things that I mentioned about the difference between using deflection and parry is that parry is better in almost all cases as long as you can guarantee that you can get the parry off. So that means like for super telegraphed moves that you're very confident that you can parry, you should always try to go for the parry because it imposes a huge opening for the opponent. Opening for yourself onto the opponent who's staggered due to the parry, and it also imposes a huge stamina loss on the opponent who's executing it because he's executing an attack and then he's getting parried at the same time. Deflection should be used, I think, on faster attacks that's harder for you to read. So if you're not sure like which direction they're coming from, like if they're getting assaulted by light attacks, I think deflection is a little bit better because you can instantly counter the opponent with one of his abilities, either Hurricane Blast or Wind Gust and stuff like that, and you can stagger them out of whatever they're doing. It basically forces them not to attack in a predictable manner with their lighter attacks. So one of them is to deter their heavier attacks, which is parry, and then one of them is better against the lighter attacks, which is deflection. So that's the difference. I can show you some examples if you want.
Yeah, that would be great. Do you want me to throw some like light side attacks at you, or?
Sure. I think we'll start off with some heavies, so
Okay.
I can just show some heavies. So I can show off some parries.
All right, I'm going to start with a left side heavy.
So look at the stamina drain that opposed on you.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm gonna throw
Like
another
that is just a massive drain on that.
That is
So let me
crazy.
show you some follow-ups that Orochi can do after a parry. So go ahead and just do a parry again. So that is an untackable grab immediately after, but it only works on some classes. Oh, I'm not doing anything right now.
Oh,
But it only works on some classes. Like it works on most assassin classes. It works on a lot of classes because Orochi actually moves forward to take advantage of you when you're parried. But I think like for Kensei and I think for Nobushi, because your range is so much longer, that I can't grab you. So instead, I'll show you the other follow-up.
okay. I'll throw
Go ahead
another
and
left.
Yep, throw another one out. So throwing out the two lights is guaranteed on every single person.
Oh.
Because it also does a lot of damage as well. It does about the same exact damage as like let's say like a top heavy, right? So like go ahead and hit me again with a parry. But that is also guaranteed on I think some assassin classes. And then classes that obviously have shorter range is not guaranteed on Kensei. It's not guaranteed on Nobushi, because again their range is higher. But the top heavy is also guaranteed a lot. So go ahead and show me some parries again. This time mix up like wherever you want to go. So that's guaranteed. That's also guaranteed.
Let me regain my stamina.
Yep. Right, and then you can see right there, I just went into like I'm not doing anything right now,
All
but
right.
you can see that I went into this like reset. I always like to call it a reset because once you enter this step right here, right, where you're just staring at your opponent, that's when you can do a number of other stuff. So, for example, let's go again with a parry, right? All right. It's late for me.
It's
Okay.
fine, man.
So for example, that was a fake out, and then that was another top heavy coming
Yeah.
down.
So this is what you do after following up with parries. So what will you be doing with deflects?
Let's go ahead and show some deflects.
Okay.
So deflects is actually you can just throw something. So deflect is when you go into like the direction of the attack, right? It's a lot easier to do when you're. Okay, that's another thing I forgot to mention about deflections in general. So deflect is a lot safer. I'm not pressing any buttons right now, but deflect is a lot easier to execute than parries because you're able to have built-in evasion, which means you're actively moving to avoid the attack. So if you time it correctly, you're probably going to be safe from the attack coming in, which is why you see me dodging a lot of Klyka's attacks. So Klyka, go ahead and throw something out again. You can actually see me dodge it, right? So even if I miss time the deflect, for example, I'm dodging his attack. So I don't take any damage. But if I connect exactly what I want to, But if I'm
There you go, yeah.
doing it like that, yeah. So I'm doing it like that. You can see what I mean, right? So even if you mistime it, you can still dodge different attacks. That's the benefit of having deflect. So go ahead and throw out some like I guess other attacks. And oh, I'll show you the follow-ups that we can take after the deflection itself.
Okay.
Yeah. But that is the best one, right? The best one is, well, I attacked you the second time, but normally you're happy with one because it's unblockable and it's pretty fast. So let's go ahead and see that again. Cool. Yeah, just hit him with one, but afterwards you can follow up with other combos as well. So let me show you something. Go ahead and go for it again. Oh god. One of these days. But the bad thing about that is, once you start swinging with the Orochi afterwards, sometimes they can recover fast enough that they can block you, right? So you don't want to get too overeager. So go again, Klyka. Again.
The timing window on the deflections is actually pretty small.
It should be this. It should be the same as like it should be the same as a parry, but for me, I'm just like used to parrying a lot more. Where like I just think parrying overall is just much stronger than deflect. It's like you get the guaranteed damage off of the deflect, but go ahead and throw in some lights. Like I'm not gonna. Yeah. So lights are gonna be harder to block, but they're easy. I think they're easier to deflect because the entire time you're trying to move away from them as well.
I see.
You see how it like staggers you back just a little bit? Go ahead and hit me again.
Yeah, it staggers you back quite a bit, yeah.
It gives you a little bit of breathing room at least out of like guard throw range. It allows the Orochi to kind of like step back just a little bit outside of the fighting window so he can reset. Orochi's happy in this zone right here because it allows him to. You have a shorter response time to like storm rushes, right? If you're moving up, Orochi can dash into you. He can really surprise you. So Orochi likes to fight here, mainly like one step or like a pretend like one fighting circle away from the enemy. He likes to be around this zone because around here he can either go in directly on top of you or dash back in a comfortable range. So the best fighting zone for the Orochi is face to face with the enemy, one dash back, which essentially translates to one character apart, and that is his favorite zone of attack.
The wonderful hero has shown us pretty much all there is to know about the Orochi at this point, and I think I've gotten definitely a bit more of a hang of the class. But so at the end here, I would like to hear your personal opinions on not only like why do you enjoy playing the Orochi, but what are in your opinion the positives of the class? What are they good at and who are they good against? But also, very importantly, what are their weaknesses? Who are they very weak against? What kind of attacks or what kind of defensive maneuvers mess up the Orochi?
I think in general, the Orochi. So let me start with the pros of the Orochi. Obviously, I showed you that Orochi has a lot of good. He has good mix-up games, right? What makes his mix-up games really powerful is that he can come in and do a lot of damage quickly. He can punish you really critically for a lot of mistakes. For example, if you get hit by one Storm Rush, it goes into a top-light combo, and you're looking at like half of your health missing, right? So he can inflict a massive amount of damage on a lot of different damage opportunities. Same goes with a parry. Like if you get hit with a parry off an Orochi, he can immediately translate that into a guard break into a top heavy, and top heavy does like massive damage as well, right? So he can capitalize on people's mistakes extremely well. So that's the biggest pro of the Orochi. His mix-up game is very strong because you can go in, you can dry dash just everywhere you want to, empty dash all around the map. So do a lot of movement shenanigans with the Orochi to allow you to open people up. So throwing in guard breaks, throwing all these different things to basically just get your opponent to open up so you can do this massive amounts of damage to him in a short amount of time. I think one of the pros for the Orochi is because he does so much damage, and because his attacks punish really harshly, it actually he's almost like a noob slayer. Like if you're a newer player, which is why a lot of the newer players complain a lot about Orochi, because he's just doing massive amounts of damage to you if you're not used to blocking him, right? But that's also one of the things that he's really weak against, because once you figure out his gimmicks, his very linear attack angle, right? Like I said, he likes to be very like in your face. He likes to be directly straight of you. He can throw in an occasional Zephyr, but Zephyrs are extremely easy to block. So once you have the Orochi figured out and try to stop him from going left and right and force him to fight directly in front of you, you automatically know that both the top attack, this one right here, can be blocked high, right? Even though it's the fastest in the game, congratulations, you can still be blocked high. The top lights can also be blocked high. And then the Orochi's Storm Rush can be blocked either left or right. So basically, Orochi countered by anyone who knows his attack vectors, either left or right, with the Storm Rush, or it's completely to the front, and those are his best attacks, which is the top 2 light combo or the top heavy. So Orochi is predictable on a certain levels, which is why you have to incorporate a lot of mind game with him. To go in to mix up your guard breaks, you need to do a lot of empty dashes, or you just go and stare at your opponent. Like literally, just go in and stare, wait until he does something, and then all of a sudden throw out double lights. Like you're looking for all these different kind of opportunities with Orochi. He's an opportunist. You're looking for your opponent to make mistakes so you can capitalize on that and turn it into big damage. So I would say that sums up the pros and weaknesses of the class. I would say that a lot of Oroshi's attacks are also very telegraphed, right? So like Storm Rush is probably one of the most telegraphed things in the game, because he not only is he flying at you Naruto style, but he's literally back there with a sword on his side. Not only is the sword there, it's very, you know exactly what direction he's coming from because his sword is on there. You know what I mean? So with that in mind, that's Oroshi's biggest weakness. And when dealing with people who don't attack, let's say that he's just sitting here looking at you, right? He can cause serious problems for Orochi because he's concentrating solely on defense, and Oroshi's attack vectors, because they're so narrow and his ways to get in are also fairly limited, that a defensive player is the one that gives Orochi the biggest problem. More specifically, a defensive player that does not get mixed up. Like if he's used to your mix-up game and he has a really good eye on Oroshi's mix-ups, you have some serious problems because you're not going to be able to get in big damage. And if you can't get in big damage, then that means you're going to be forced into kind of this attrition battle, which Orochi almost always loses because he has one of the lowest health pools in the entire game. Okay, that sums that up for me.
Okay. What would you say are your best like class matchups? Like what are the classes that you believe the Orochi is strong against, or like evenly matched up with?
So here's the thing. In like top level play, every single class in the game can play very defensively, right? You don't need to really go out there and attack, and that's where Orochi is the most powerful. Orochi is good because he can punish a lot of people who attack poorly or attack carelessly, right? And that's where Orochi can translate the most damage. However, against classes that let's just say the classes that give me the most trouble are like Warlord, Conqueror, because they have shields. Like Valkyrie is also very good. Shields are a huge problem with, and all guard in general is a problem for Orochi, because it doesn't matter what kind of mix-up that you do. At that point, directions doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is whether or not you can press guard break in time. Because if you can block damage from all directions from Orochi, then the only thing that really matters is guard break. So you can just focus on that, right? And then obviously, if you get hit by any of their shield bash, headbutt, or anything like that, you're looking towards a nutrition battle where you're just going to be taking free lights. So that becomes a problem for the Orochi because he doesn't want to be forced into those attrition battles because he's going to lose. So for good matchups for Orochi, I would say for anyone who blindly overextends, he's pretty good against other assassin classes, as long as because of their low health pool and his massive his damage capabilities are really really high. So he's really really good at taking down other assassins if he can get them to overcommit and do damage. Because assassins typically like to attack, so Orochis in general can capitalize on bad attack patterns, right?
Hmm.
I would say that he's weaker against like the Warden, for example, right? Because the Warden, a lot of his attack vectors are top guard based, and the Warden can punish you really really heavily by just keeping his attacks in top guard, which means that I won't be able to get in there and do damage on you because all you have to do is throw light attacks out. So it allows the Warden to be aggressive because he can attack you with top, and you can't really attack him at top because if you attack him at the same time he presses attack, then you're just going to get crushing countered and you're
Yeah.
going to lose a third of your HP. So he can be really aggressive against Orochi, and not to mention that, but you have to guard two different areas. You have to guard top because of his extremely fast top light. You also have to guard the Orochi's left because of his really fast zone attack. So it causes a lot of problems for the Orochi in that particular matchup. The Nobushi is also a really good matchup for Nobushi against Orochi because, again, Storm Rush and your best attacks are all vertical in nature, right? You're you're going directly towards the enemy,
Hmm.
and Nobushi is really good at fighting anything that's coming directly at her. So she can just throw out a light, throw out a poison, anything like that, and can just poke you, and you can just take you just bleed out damage. And then most Nobushi players also they're very defensive in nature. They like to stay back. They kind of like to read your reactions, and they don't normally go on the offense. And if you don't go on the offense with the Orochi, you can't really punish mistakes. So that's where like these are some of the classes that I feel like Orochi is a little bit weak in. So I say overall, Nobushi's really good. Nobushi Orochi is really good at punishing players who overextend and execute bad attacks. He can really make you pay for it, but he suffers a lot against classes that are more defensive in nature. Um, and yeah, I say that's it for the Orochi. Definitely just like to guard against Orochi's attacks, at least his best attacks. Watch out for the left and right from the storm rush, and also take your guard and keep it in top guard because that's where his best attacks come from.
Okay, Hero, it seems that you have imparted all of your wisdom on the Orochi, unless you kept some, nasty secrets that you're using in high-level play. So I want to thank you very, very much for your time. I know that is recording these kind of videos definitely takes something out of you, and it's very late in America right now where you are. S-
Yeah, it's like 2 a.m. man.
Yeah,
I'm dying.
it's like 2 a.m. So I want to thank you, like not only on my behalf, but on behalf of all of the viewers for your time. To all you people out there, I hope that you learned a lot from Hero, and you're gonna take your Orochi from the basic level to the advanced level, and you're gonna mix up and not get caught in any crushing counters. So thank you very, very much, Hero.
Welcome, man. Thanks for having me. I hope you learned a lot, and I hope the viewers learned a lot as well. Just remember, when fighting the Orochi, take your guard and put it on top. Never let go, and then basically just watch your left and right flanks from the storm rush.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna try out the Orochi now that, you've shown me the basics. But that also means that you are useless to me now, for you have taught me all your secrets. Be gone!
Oh no!
Goodbye!